Good luck to the runners. Guys, thank you for being here. Let's get ready for the action.
And we are off.
All right, so as is with most beginning stages of these runs, runners are going to be pretty close together as they navigate through Series Station.
Good use of arm pumping by both runners, utilizing a small glitch in the game that moves them forward 1 pixel every time they angle up or down while they were in motion. Really, 1 pixel isn't a lot, but when you think over the course of a run, you can save a couple seconds. And when there's really nothing else to do other than hold right and run, definitely worth doing. Leodox utilizing the Japanese text for this game. Don't know if that gives him an inherent advantage or not, but it's definitely fun to see. It's pretty rare to see that anymore. Most people just use the English text and call it a day. $45.19.
Yeah, 44 for MrGuyAverage. So again, very close coming out of here.
Both of those are really solid series times, especially considering it looked like MrGuyAverage got a couple more steams than Leodox did. So 45 and a 44 are definitely solid times to be starting off this race. Only about a second or so apart, and then we're going to be moving on into what most people consider to be the actual game. I actually know a lot of runners who are finally to a point where they don't even practice series anymore. They just get it over with and then practice everything else.
All right, so already a split in Parlor. Leodox foregoing the Moonfall strategies here, where MrGuyAverage is attempting those strategies and looks like he is going to make up some time here, nailing both in the Parlor and coming down. Both achieving Pitless as well as they make their way down to Morph Ball.
Definitely a solid start from both runners. Pitless is... having run this myself, it definitely is harder than it looks by a lot. So the fact that both these runners are nailing it in a race setting is definitely impressive.
Both runners actually consistently using that arm pumping technique, which is good, as they move their way down into Alpha Missiles. It's really a strategy that you could be doing almost, for the most part, almost anywhere. Also, both with the short hops out.
Still only about a second and a half between these two runners. You know, the early game consistency between the two of them is definitely impressive. You would think, looking at their PBs, that there'd be a bit more of a difference, but MrGuyAverage is keeping pace with Leodox despite that that higher PB.
So we'll see, we've different strategies here. It looks like both of them are actually using wall jumps for the climb up here. MrGuyAverage missing a shot here, buying himself, costing himself a little extra time, but both in the parlor right now. Leodox starting to split off just a little bit. Both of these runners are probably going to be relatively close as we make our way down into Kraid. After we get through that is really going to be the biggest splits in technique and probably when these guys start to pull apart. Both now in the Bomb Chorizo room.
See, they're both picking up their signature Bomb Chorizo brand chorizo sauce from the Bomb Chorizo's hands.
Leodox with a very good fight there.
MrGuyAverage using a slightly different strategy than most runners do. He's actually pumping in some extra regular shots. Ended up breaking the face off, which cost him about a second, but all in all, he was able to get some good damage in pretty quick and keep the fight on a decent pace.
Both runners nailing Alcatraz on the first try.
I mentioned before, Alcatraz is one of those things that just kind of, I've had higher runners say as well, it just kind of vanishes sometimes. There's really nothing you can do about it. It's just the most awkward thing. So the fact that they're nailing it first try is fantastic. They had Leodox setting up for the Green Pirate Shaft actually set up a D-boost, so he took one less hit on his way through. So he's going into the Brinstar elevator with just a little bit more health than MrGuyAverage is. Early game, that it gives a little bit of an advantage because it's less RNG dependent on health drops before you get to mini Kraid to make sure you don't get health bombed, but it's still an advantage and it may come into play.
All right, and both runners successful with the first Rio sequence break in this game. Both grabbing those super missiles early.
Utilizing one of the most fundamental speed techs of this game, the mock ball. If you morph and kind of do a quarter circle forward motion as you hit the ground, you actually maintain your run speed, which is what makes that glitch possible. Normally, if you just try and morph and roll across that, you fall through the crumble blocks, and normally it requires speed booster. But by utilizing the glitch for the mock ball, it actually opens up the ability to get supers before fighting Spore Spawn, and in this category, actually allowing you to circumvent Spore Spawn altogether.
All right, so MrGuyAverage kind of bringing it close again. Both runners really within 5 to 10 seconds of each other here as Leodox makes his way out and down towards Kraid.
The missile RNG Leodox is getting is absolutely insane. His missile count is really good. He's in a position to be pretty liberal with them all the way to the warehouse. Leo getting what I've come to find out is one of the harder deboosts to get, getting in the room with the two waivers there to completely go over the water. I don't know why that has been so difficult to get, but it's definitely among what I would think the harder tricks. So landing that also a good indication of Leo's skill level here.
A couple of different ways to actually do that, right? You can do it just by getting hit by it and also by trying to kill it and getting hit by one of those particles, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there is a strategy where you can just jump into it, turn around, and do a deboost off of it. Most runners who do it tend to opt for the strategy where you kill it and jump off the particle.
All right, so Leodox making his way into Kraid's lair here. Again, MrGuyAverage not that far behind.
It'd be interesting to see what which quick kill setups these guys do. There's a couple different ways
Leo
to
doesn't
do it.
have enough supers right now. He's got to go for the 2 missiles.
Oh, did he get trolled by mini Kraid and not get full supers? Looks like we have Kraid going to prom.
MrGuyAverage will see what he can do here. And he's back in it. Both runners taking Kraid down.
So, looked like MrGuyAverage utilized the charge setup there. That is a safer and more of a beginner-friendly setup for the quick kill. You shoot a charge shot into Kraid's face, and it actually locks his claw in position wherever it is. So if you shoot that while his hand is down, then you're pretty much free to just pump supers into him. If you do the 2 missile 3 super setup, it actually gives you a more narrow window to play with, making it so that you have to shoot kind of the upper portion of his mouth. Leodox actually choosing to forego the Kraid E-Tank, which is, in a race setting, a really, really good safety to have when going into the wrecked ship. MrGuyAverage deciding to pick it up, so that's going to give Leo a little bit of a time advantage, but that is going to have him use slightly more safe strategies all the way from here to the wrecked ship to ensure that he has enough health to deal with Fantoon.
I can assure chat that no bribes were given, as I am part of that team as well, so just want to put that out there.
Although we do approve of the Sephi trolling.
Of course.
So Leodox and MrGuyAverage have both picked up high jump boots, which in my opinion is the best item in the game.
Alright, so Leodox making his way over to Bubble Mountain to face the actual first boss of the game.
Will Leodox dethrone King Kakatak, or will King Kakatak reign supreme? Place your bets now. And victory goes to Leodox.
See if MrGuyAverage can have the same level of success. Both runners still within 10 seconds of each other, pretty much, keeping it close. That Kraid mishap from Leodox really left MrGuyAverage with the opportunity to keep that close.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the variance in their PBs and looking how close this race has been this whole time, it definitely speaks pretty well. I don't know what their actual paces are right now, but MrGuyAverage is definitely on a good pace, especially when looking at his PB compared to Leodox. This is a really incredible run for him so far.
Leodox with that nice little D boost coming out of that. That's really one of my favorite favorite moves there. It's just like a little sense of swag.
We're all about the swag here in the SM community.
Of course.
I think, you know, both these runners are really performing incredibly well. I think the only objectively bad decision they made was not picking up Sapphire Beam. Other than that,
I think that could hurt him in the long run. I mean, it's the best weapon in the game, right? We have confirmation. Am I wrong?
I believe we have the word of Sapphire himself.
Well, that's all the confirmation this community needs.
A little bit of issue in double chamber there from Leodox, but he manages to pick it up without too much issue and get right back into the run. MrGuyAverage actually opting to use the middle crumble spikes there instead of the far left ones. You don't have to worry as much about hitting the real spikes if you go for those, because you don't have to worry about getting a perfect jump all the way across, but it's definitely a good strategy to use if you're not comfortable and you're concerned about your health.
MrGuyAverage trying to use that moonfall in that position. I've never really seen anyone do that in a run. Coming off the top of Bubble Mountain. Leodox now leaving Norfair here. Again, MrGuyAverage not far behind. The differences between these two PBs, this race is really, it's extremely close.
So one minor difference that we might see here based on the number of E-tanks they got, runners who get 2 tanks usually don't set up for Alpha Spark, and you can see Leodox completely skipped it. But when you have 3 tanks and nearly full health, you really are in a position to do Alpha Spark if you want, and it does save a little bit of time so long as you have the health to do it, and it's not going to put you at risk in wreck ship. MrGuyAverage almost getting it. Jumped a little too soon and ended up bonking the door. Leodox with the really impressive down grab there in red tower.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever seen a runner go for that. Like usually go for hero shot. That timing on that was amazing.
I believe the positioning on that is nearly frame perfect. But if you set it up correctly, you can wall jump up, do an angle shot, and then just down grab right at the peak of your jump. Looked like MrGuyAverage also went for it, but he was a little too high and ended up bonking the ceiling, so he just had to set up for a second red tower climb there.
Also choosing to do some farming there.
With how much of a troll and run under Fantoon can be, I'm honestly not surprised. For run safety, it's definitely a good decision when wreck ship is as deadly as it is. Leodox setting up for Ocean Fly here. Oh, deciding to do it in 2 sparks instead, which is a bit more consistent. It saves a little bit of health. It does cost a little bit of time to do it, but when you're running 2 tanks, it's definitely a good strategy to use to conserve your health, much like bonking that wall right there. With
and
the
jumping closer. As he had that spark, he also jumped closer over there and bonked. That's going to conserve some energy for him that he's going to need with only those 2 tanks.
Yeah, going into wreck ship with 138 energy when you're only on 2 tanks is actually quite a lot. So he had some good setups there to preserve some energy. MrGuyAverage going for the little bit less conventional 1-tap to get across Ocean Fly, or across the moat rather. Yeah, no, across Ocean Fly from the moat room. You can do a 1-tap and from there instead of having to do a 2-tap in the East Ocean room anyway, or West Ocean room anyway. If you line it up pretty quickly, it doesn't cost any time. But when you spark, hit that door to spark, you have to backtrack a little bit, and it does cost a little bit of time. And if you don't do like a grapple across like you would in 100%, if you're trying to conserve health.
Leodox with a fast, wasn't a fast. I think that was a fast mid, but nailing those two first X factors, getting a 2-round on Fantoon, already killing it as MrGuyAverage just goes in there. This could be the spot where they start to separate themselves just a little bit, depending on how much Fantoon wants to troll MrGuyAverage.
Getting a fast pattern, but missing the actual first shot there for MrGuyAverage, so he's going to have to deal with an invisible pattern, which can be a little bit more trolly than Fantoon normally is by his non-invisible patterns. Leodox picking up the second supers of the game, and his last supers of the game, I imagine, getting ready to head up into the attic.
Be interesting to see how he chooses to dispatch the enemies in the attic as well. With only so much energy there, I highly doubt he would go for an attic spark. MrGuyAverage still working on Fantoon.
Having a little bit more trouble with Doppler strats than...
Oh, he does go for it and nails it. Leodox with a perfect attic spark as he moves his way out. MrGuyAverage still working on it. This does seem to be a spot where they will start to break away just a little bit. Hopefully MrGuyAverage can dispatch here on this next round. He is very close, as he does.
So a little bit of the difference between the strategies they used. Leodox's X Factor strategy is a little bit more simple than the Doppler strategy. All you have to really do is position yourself in such a way so that when the X Factor particles come in, they all hit Fantoon before he disappears. With the Doppler strategy, you have to hit him at a rate of 1 missile every 10 frames, I believe it is, to keep him from going off screen. And to get a 2-round, you have to hit him with 2, 2, and 6. And in the second round, you want to do 2, 2, 5, and a super. Doppler is a little bit harder of a strategy to master. It's easier to do fundamentally, but actually getting all of those shots and even sometimes more shots than just the 6 is a lot more difficult. And it looked like MrGuyAverage had a little bit of trouble with it there, but he's going to keep moving forward. That trouble with Fantoon did give Leodox a bit of a lead, though. He's at gravity while MrGuyAverage is still making his way up to the attic.
Another interesting thing that I saw Leodox do, and I haven't seen too many runners actually do it, especially in this tournament so far, is that he actually opted to spark across bowling alley room.
Yeah, I believe that takes I want to say a stutter 3 to set that up. Hopefully somebody in chat can confirm or correct me. But if you can do the stutter for short charge, then you can set that up. I don't believe it actually costs any more health than damaging yourself on the spikes jumping through the room. But it does save a little bit of time because Shine Spark is faster than running, taking damage, and jumping.
So Leodox about to make his way over to Red Tower and make that descent down to Meridia as MrGuyAverage is making his way to bowling alley room. This is really where they're starting to kind of break away here.
So chat saying you can do a stutter 2, a standard 3, or a stutter 3. Either way, one of those should be able to get you this bowling alley spark.
All right, thank you, chat. And also thank you for being here and supporting these runners. And I think it's a testament to what this community is really all about.
Leodox getting trolled by the fish a little bit there, making his way on up to Botwoon here, getting ready to do the Mount Everest Spark. MrGuyAverage almost picking up the moat missiles there. Would have cost him a full 6.66 seconds if he had picked them up. Good thing he made it just barely past it by a couple of pixels.
So Leodox setting up the X Factor for Botwoon, missing one of the things, missing one of the particles there. Not the cleanest start, but he should be okay.
So each super does 300 damage to Botwoon. He has 3,000 health, and the X Factor particles actually also do 300 each. So ideally what you want to do there is use an audio cue to set up to hit all 4 of those X Factor particles, and then hit them with 6 supers. Each particle that misses is another super you have to use, and ideally you want to leave the Botwoon room with 2 supers, one for the green door right before Dragon, and one for the eye door. Unfortunately, Botwoon is notorious for not wanting to give supers or anything other than health, really, regardless of how much health you have. So that actually can... ooh, and missing the happy spark there. That's unfortunate.
MrGuyAverage starting to make his way over to Meridia. Trying to close the gap just a little bit. Leodox starting to have just a little trouble with some movement. Leodox making his way into Dragon. We'll see if he opts to do the X Factor strategy here, which can save a decent amount of time.
Yeah, so I went over the math on this earlier. Each X Factor particle does 300 damage, and an optimal spark across Dragon's face will do 2,250 damage. Which means you cannot kill Dragon in less than 3 sparks, unless you hit with something else as well. Hitting an optimal spark on Dragon is fairly difficult, so using the X Factor can actually make it so that a 3-spark kill is a lot more likely. Or if you can hit a couple of optimal sparks, you can throw in some ammo shots to make it a 2-spark kill.
So Leodox about 1 away. I guess as he's trying to get that blue suit. And he gets it.
Looks like he's opting not to try and set up for the spike suit. Spike suit operates very similarly to how the blue suit does. You just get to move at normal pace, and as long as you don't make a few certain very select inputs that would normally trigger a shine spark if you had done a speed boost and stored it, you can maintain that shine spark or that stored spark for as long as you want. Getting the spike suit is a double frame perfect trick, so and if you mess it up, you can completely lose your blue suit altogether. So not entirely surprising that he opts not to get it, but he does get the reverse happy with the blue suit either way. Only a couple seconds slower than getting spike suit.
He's farming a little extra here than he needed to. He does not need that many supers. I don't know if he's just not as confident in his Dragon fight, but that is some time that he did not need to spend there as he makes his way over, and Leodox just furthers the gap just a little bit more.
Well, and it comes down to MrGuyAverage's familiarity with Shine Sparking Dragon. If he's not as familiar with Shine Sparking Dragon, then he may be storing up ammo to do a more traditional kill method.
Mr. Guy Average entering into Dragon as Leodox goes over to Plasma Beam. So he's got his Power Bomb selected. I don't know if he's got that X Factor in his back pocket or not. Don't think so. Oh. Not sure how much that actually hit there, but he won for it.
Like 2 particles, so an extra 600 damage out of Dragon 6000.
Leodox making his way back out of Plasma. Mr. Guy Average with some actually really good shots here. Really good sparks across.
And finishing off with supers, so no blue suit, but actually a really clean kill, so still on a really solid pace for Mr. Guy Average. All right, Leodox starts making his way over to the North Fair elevator as Mr. Guy Average exits Dragon. So Mr. Guy Average can't do that reverse half because he does not have that blue suit, so this is going to take him just a little longer than it did for Leodox as well. So there are really two fundamental ways to get across the Coliseum there. You've got the reverse halfie, which you get with either a blue suit or a spike suit, or the Wample jump, which was what Mr. Guy Average did there. The Wample jump is slightly slower than blue suit and fairly significantly slower than spike suit. So as far as the race is concerned, costs him a couple seconds. But if he's not familiar with the mechanics of blue suit, probably better to go for a solid Wample jump than worry about losing time trying to figure out blue suit.
There's still plenty of race to go too, so nobody knows, anything could happen. We all know that by now.
Leodox opting to go north route to Lower Norfair. This, if you can do south route optimally, or optimal routing for both actually, south route is 2 seconds faster, 2 to 3 seconds. However, the south route has a couple more precise tricks to get if you want to get that 2 to 3 second time save. So he may just be more comfortable running with north route than south route here. It does cost a couple seconds, but nothing too significant.
Mr. Guy Average picking up that plasma beam as Leodox still makes his way down to Lower Norfair. And Mr. Guy Average leaving Plasma's Park.
Leodox with a very nice chronic boost there, allowing him to deboost all the way into the lava, so all he has to do is turn around and mash jump to get up to the top there. Definitely a quick strat and saves a couple seconds over just jumping in and doing a pseudo screw to get past the Namahe shot. Leodox setting up for the slightly faster Pillar Room strat, misses the stutter short charge, which is doesn't really cost him too much time because he didn't go to the room to the left to try and set it up, so there were no extra door transitions, just some slightly slower movement. So there's really 3 ways to get through the Pillar Room. Oh, and a very, very nice worst room in the game here. You can do power bombs on the pillars. You can get through with as few as 2 if you line up the first one correctly. You can do a 2-tap if you go into the Ripper room to the left, which is actually just as fast as using the power bombs if you get it first try, and slightly faster than both of those is the Stutter 3, I believe it's a Stutter 3, in the pillar setup room to do the Shine Spark across for fast pillars.
So MrGuyAverage just picking up that ice beam. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, either way, it's pretty close, but whether he feels more comfortable with the south route or north route as Leodox goes into the Ninja Pirate room.
And Leodox just barely missing the last shot for the most optimal strat for this room. Only cost him a couple of seconds, but if you line it up correctly, you can kill those pirates through the door into the flower house.
Looks like MrGuyAverage is going south route as Leodox starts the Ridley fight.
Yeah, it looks like MrGuyAverage missed the space jump through this room with Speed Booster, which will cost him a couple seconds. And also not getting the full speed spin across the Yapping Maw room here.
Now, at this point, do you think Leodox knows he's actually in the lead and by how much?
I honestly don't. I don't know if either runner is watching the race or looking at chat.
I only asked just because you think he feels comfortable enough with just continuing this run as normal and not getting the safety of the Ridley E-Tank?
I imagine Leodox does feel very comfortable with this run. You know, even if he isn't looking at the race, I think knowing the difference between our PBs, he's pretty confident. So he can just try and do everything as optimally as possible. I imagine, if anything, the only safety he's going to take is probably saving right before Mother Brain.
Nice D-boost out of the room there, too. MrGuyAverage making his way.
Ooh, and MrGuyAverage's power bomb count is actually very, very unfortunate here. If you don't have 5 power bombs coming through this room, you actually have to pick up the power bombs of shame. You have to use 2 in the pillar room if you don't use Pillar Spark, 1 in the worst room in the game, 1 to get into the wasteland, and a 5th in the wasteland. So since he only has 4, he's going to have to pick up the power bombs of shame in the wasteland just to be able to continue on. That's going to cost him probably around 12 seconds, which is not ideal. Usually, like I said, the pillars, if you go into the Ripper room and do a 2-tap, you can actually get across that with fast pillars just as fast as if you went through with power bombs. So good to know what kind of power bombs you need, so that if you kind of get a rough position with drops, you can just go for the fast pillars and not lose any time from it.
Had a little trouble with the key hunters too as he still makes his way down here. He's going to have to be a little careful navigating on his way to Ridley.
Yeah, as long as he can get to the get past the Daskigas and get into the Metal Pirate room and kill the first one without taking any damage.
Oh, he is close. He cannot get hit again.
The Metal Pirates are guaranteed to drop a lot of health, so, or at least they have a good chance to. They can also drop all supers, but I mean, that never happens, let's be honest.
All right, so he should be okay here. Oh, he's getting it close. I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Leodox making his way out of Norfair, working his way up to Meridia so he can make his way to Golden 4. He is pretty much on his way towards the end game now. Mr. Guy Average working his way over to that Ridley fight.
I just want to take a second and appreciate how Mr. Guy Average survived the Metal Pirate room.
I'm watching it. I was on the end of my seat. He was pixels away from getting hit there, and that would have been it. But just being able to dodge that, impressive.
Looks like Mr. Guy Average is kind of getting some trolley patterns here. Ridley really has 3 fundamental patterns. You've got the pogo pattern, the swoop pattern where he kind of comes forward, goes back, and then does a full swoop and turns around. And then the third is when he's doing the swoop to pick you up pattern, which he does when he's low health. He's kind of giving some trolley patterns, mainly because of how Mr. Guy Average is jumping around right now. Your movement really kind of manipulates what pattern Ridley is in, and that's and there we have a second Ridley kill for the race, so we're good there. But he's getting some trolley patterns and took quite a few hits there, but still holding strong.
Going for the safety strat, just making sure that he finishes at this point.
I mentioned in the last race we had commentated together. That gives an extra safety on Mother Brain, because if you get hit with Ketchup, normally it does 100 damage, but Ketchup can also double hit, causing you to take 200. And if you have 5 E-Tanks, you can survive 1. If you have less than that, then you kind of have a 50-50 shot of whether or not you'll survive it. So ideally, you don't want to take any hits from Mother Brain, but if you do, the 50 tank gives you that safety. So picking up that safety if you're unsure with Mother Brain or just for race safety is not a bad idea.
All right,
Leodox
so
doing the wiggle.
Yeah, getting ready. About to make his way into touring the last part, or the last area of the game.
I didn't even think about that. Another reason why picking up that 50 tank is helpful is you can just body through the key hunters and not have to care what kind of position they're in.
Leodox makes his way through the first Metroid room, still in good shape in terms of ammo. Continues to be.
Metroid RNG can be incredibly trolly. Very clean third Metroid room as well.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get the supers he needs, then he could have to like kill 2 Metroids here and reload the room. Fortunately, it looks like he's got all the ammo he needs, and he's killing with missiles just to be safe. So
Yeah.
he's full on ammo, and let's see if he gets the baby skip here.
Mr. Guy Average being a little liberal with his power bombs because he now has the ability to do that.
The upside of the power bomb's a shame is you don't really have to care after Ridley. Clean 7-jump Metroid skip there. Mr. Guy Average accidentally shooting in Frog Speedway and freezing the frogs, blocking him in, so he had to get through a different way.
Making his way out of Norfair now. having a little trouble with that first attempt, but Leodox still being able to get that Zebetite skillet.
It almost looked like he was trying to set up for the down back Zeb skip the first time and then resorted to the traditional spin jump one after he missed it.
All right, so Leodox is going to come into Mother Brain 1. Run is by no means done. He really has to be careful here with the lack of E-tanks. If he gets hit with much of anything, he's going to be in trouble.
Fortunately, he's just got to do 20 shots, and he can get almost half of them in before Mother Brain does anything. So as long as he's careful for about 15 seconds after that, he should be fine.
First catch-up. And he should be okay. Very well done. Damageless.
It was a very clean, very flawless Mother Brain 2. Got MrGuyAverage making his way up into the Brinstar Key Hunter room and getting ready to go to the landing site. Really, considering the difference in their PBs, I'm really impressed by how close MrGuyAverage is to Leodox right now.
Yeah, this is actually the differences in their runs. They're really keeping it close. I mean, they're running at very good paces, and that's all you can ask for in a tournament setting like this. So do you think Leo saves the animals?
I mean, honestly, from me, I hope nobody saves the animals.
I had to ask. MrGuyAverage in Golden 4. About 20 seconds away from entering Turin himself. Leodox at this point, it's mostly cleanup. It's very hard to mess up a run after this. There's certain things that you could do that waste a little time, but all in all, he's pretty much on just finishing this run. Leo setting up very nicely on that pillar there, not really missing many shots.
And a very clean Mother Brain 3. All that's left is the escape sequence. Probably looking at a high 48 for Leo.
Unless he saves the animals.
Well, I mean, in that case, he deserved the 49.
MrGuyAverage going through the second Metroid room. Ammo is very good. Leodox making his way out through the escape here. Looks like MrGuyAverage is through here. Ammo is not going to be an issue for him. I don't know if he's got a pocket baby skip in there, but if he does, now is the time to break it out.
Leodox finishing strong with an official SRL time of 49 minutes and 2 seconds. Congratulations to Leodox on the win. MrGuyAverage looks like did not get the baby skip, but is in a good position ammo-wise to make his way through Mother Brain and the rest of the game.
Yes, definitely a great run by Leodox, staying a little less than 3 minutes to his PB in a race setting. I mean, it's a little different than just sitting there trying to get PBs. I feel like the pressure's on. It makes it a little tougher. So, again, a great run by Leodox.
The most important thing Leodox did was making the objectively correct decision and not saving the animals. This guy Average getting a little trolled by the turrets there.
Yeah. Turret's still kind of trolling him, trying to eat up his ammo there. Oh, very close.
Barely enough. So Mother Brain 1 is really kind of different. It has two counters. First of all, you have to do all of Mother Brain 1's health and damage, but you also have to hit Mother Brain 1 with a certain number of projectiles, which is kind of why the ammo count required is the way it is. In order to do enough damage is not a problem. In order to do enough damage and hit Mother Brain with enough projectiles requires a bit larger of an ammo count. So MrGuyAverage with a fairly clean Mother Brain 2 fight as well. Getting set up for the baby cutscene, and then we'll be primed for the final kill on Mother Brain, and then a run to escape the planet that Samus blew up because reasons.
All right, MrGuyAverage. See how he does this Mother Brain 3. Kind of going for a hybrid strategy here. Not going for the lag strat, not going for the close strat. Oh, he's getting it there.
Yeah, so the positioning is what gets the lag reduction, but hitting the shots requires a pretty precise pattern to not miss a single shot, which is often why the lag strats work out, is because you can just hide in the bottom corner and go to town. You don't have to worry about missing as many shots. But if you position yourself in the pillar for the lag reduction, if you don't hit the pattern, you can miss more shots, which gives Mother Brain more opportunities to hit you during the final phase. But either way, that was still a very clean Mother Brain 3 fight, and we're on to the escape sequence.
So MrGuyAverage still running at a good pace here. Again, keeping it for how different the runs actually were and how far apart the PBs were. He definitely did a great job of trying to keep it close here. And at the beginning was extremely close.
For sure. Getting the final moonfall of the game there. Just
Oh,
barely
no.
missing the Behemoth Spark. Behemoth Spark is pretty precise. Generally, it does save a little bit of time, but it is a little bit harder to land. MrGuyAverage finishing with an official SRL time of 55:08. In-game time looked like a 54:59, which was only 1 second away from his PB. So that was an incredibly consistent performance from him.
Extremely hard to do in a race setting.
Honestly, if he had gotten better steam patterns in the landing site and gotten the actual blue suit in landing site, that would have been either a tie or a new PB. Definitely a good performance from both runners, though. That was an incredible race. MrGuyAverage keeping pace with his PB. Leodox having just an incredible run altogether. I mean, everything about this race was phenomenal. Both of these runners did a fantastic job.
I hope everyone here enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I mean, for MrGuyAverage to run at essentially a PB base, if not even better, till the very end. I mean, that's extremely impressive. So I'm not sure if the runners are going to stop in for any comments, but I just want to take this time and thank everyone for staying in and watching the racers and supporting them, supporting the community. You know, there's so many things you'd be doing at any given moment, and you're choosing to spend your time here. That's always going to be appreciated. This is one of the best communities that I've personally been a part of. So I obviously I wasn't even racing, but I appreciate it. So guys, thank you.
Bear in mind, during the next couple months, we've got a lot more races to come. They should all or almost all be restreamed to any of the speed gaming channels, 1 through 6. We've got our round robin phase is going to last 5 weeks, and we just started yesterday. So there is a lot of time to watch these races, watch this tournament before we even make it to the single elimination bracket. Every runner in the tournament is guaranteed 4 races, and those who are in the top 2 of their group of 5 will move on to a 42-man single elimination bracket, and we will continue from there.
Yeah, so don't forget, there's going to be plenty of Super Metroid action coming at you this summer. I hope you guys catch as many of the races as you can and show your support out there. And for those that are watching and also racing, good luck to you as well. I think that's it for now. Runners don't seem to be coming in, so if they're out there, you know what, guys, you did a fantastic job tonight. It was extremely entertaining. Great job. Good luck on your future runs. everyone that's here, thank you so much for being here. You guys are the best, and hopefully we see you again in some future races. I appreciate you allowing me to be a commentator tonight. So with that, I'm going to sign off. And Mr. Jagos, do you have anything to add?
I think you covered it perfectly, man. Just stay tuned for a couple months of Super Metroid action. Thank you for supporting the runners. Thank you for supporting the tournament, and just keep staying awesome.
All right. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.